Hey guys, what is up? It's your girl, Grace Tori, and I am back with a whole new podcast episode. Today we are going through and finding Reddit's worst roommates, and then we're going to talk about it. So if you are interested in hearing some Am I the A-holes about that, stick around. Before I jump in, don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, follow, all the fun things. It takes about 0.2 seconds, totally free, means the world to me. A lot of you watch my videos, but don't subscribe or follow or whatever the term is on the platform you're currently listening or watching on. And like, what the heck, man? I thought we were friends. So yeah, don't forget to do that. Leave a rating review. If you can comment, leave a comment. All of your thoughts. I want to know all of them, every single one about all of the stories. And if you have a story about a roommate who absolutely got on your last nerve, absolutely insane, little unhinged, definitely let me know because I want to know the tea. I'm a nosy bystander. You probably are too if you're here. And I want to hear all about things that I have no business being involved in. Without further ado, let's go ahead and jump on into today's podcast episode. I'm Grace Tori, and you're listening to That Girl the Podcast. Grab a beverage of choice and settle in, because the new episode is starting now. So this first one is titled, The SEC is Investigating My Roommate. It's only a matter of time before I get pulled in. How effed am I? And this is from originally r/legal advice as well as r/best of legal advice, and was originally posted in 2018, but was just added to Best of Redditor updates recently. I went to the University of Kentucky, so I actually love the SEC, and I try to keep up with it, like, everywhere, not just with sports, because they do a lot more than just sports. That's just what I feel like everybody knows them for. So I saw this, my ears perked up, and obviously I had to read it. So let's see. For years, I've had a job that I've absolutely hated in a city I hate because the cost of living is so high and a roommate that's been unusually kind to me. For reasons I won't get into for fear of being identified, the company has been in a slow downward spiral for a few years now, and the job has gotten absolutely miserable, to the point where I wanted to quit and move back home multiple times. I've expressed as much to my roommate in the past. It's always seemed a little off to me that he's taken such an active interest in my professional life, and he even offered to let me stay here for free when I threatened to quit. I took him up on the offer thinking I might be back on my feet again in a few weeks with a new job, but weeks turned into months, which turned into years. Why is he so interested in your professional life? Because, like, I understand being friendly interested and, like, genuinely, like, interested in hearing about it. Like, I have friends that are in fields that I would never be in, but I love to hear about work and things like that. Not just because I care about them, but because I think it's interesting and I don't know anything about it. So I understand that, but there is a point where it gets, like, really weird. And I think that saying, no, yeah, you can stay here for free is that point. Also, how did he get money for that? Like, what do they do full time? Well, when the SEC started sending letters to the apartment, I put two and two together. He's been shorting the stock the entire time I've been living here. What does that mean? I need more. I don't know what that means. He didn't want me to leave. That's why he offered to cover my half of the rent and utilities. Worst of all, he's been making these trades based off of information I've been unintentionally feeding him while he listens to me vent. Huh? So is it like insider trading? I tried to ask him how much he's made, but he won't tell me. I had no idea he was making these trades. How effed am I? So, relevant comments. One said, stop talking to him about this. Don't answer any questions about it without an attorney present. Number 2 said, if the SEC is interested in him, he's made a lot of money. And then another commenter said, to be a violation, the information you were providing would have to be confidential and not available to the general public. Unless you're a C-level executive subject to an NDA or otherwise have access to protected, confidential information about your company, there's probably no issue here. Shorting stock based on your roommate and complaining about their job isn't illegal. So here's an update from 2 years later. It says, not a happy update, but roommate was indeed making trades based off of insider information that I had no idea I was feeding to him. He was sentenced to 18 months of federal time today for insider trading. For testifying against him, I was offered a lifetime D&O bar, which is fine since I've never been C-level management in a public company before, and a 6-figure fine that I'll never be able to pay off. I've been unemployed since then because I now have a felony on my record and the economy isn't in great shape. Dude, that sucks. Like, I feel like that I don't even know what to say because I understand, like, complaining, about your job. I don't really tell people about like that much about my job because they don't care. So I think that when you get to the point that insider trading, yeah, that would have raised a red flag. But the fact that you got in trouble for that when really all you did was complain, like, I get it. There are relevant comments for the update as well. The first one says, "This would have to be more than I hate my boss and this company sucks at making money, right? Especially if this resulted in a felony. I'm not a stock guy, but you need some detailed info to make money like this, wouldn't you?" That's what I'm saying. Like, I feel bad for you, but at the same time, like, why didn't you have like a red flag go up and be like, why does he want to know this much information? Because you even said you noticed it. But that's it. There's not any other updates or anything. Um, that's crazy. Like, why had what? It's 2026. I need to know if this man still doesn't have a job. Having a felony for that is wild. Like, that will make it difficult. I wonder if he's able to get it expunged, and if so, like when? Because I clearly have never had like a felony, so I don't know how that works, but that sucks. Like, I feel bad for you because, like, that the punishment seems really aggressive for the crime, but also clearly we're missing context. Like, what did you tell him? You had to know something was up. So the top comment is, damn, what the F was he venting about that someone was able to use that info? Don't people just vet about bad coworkers and how Jan ate their lunch again? Or maybe about how management is denying bonuses this year? Like, nothing with actual numbers and stuff. Exactly how specific was OP when he was venting? That's crazy. Someone did comment and respond to that and say, when I read slow downward spiral, seems like he vented about specific clients not renewing the contract. Okay. Yeah. Let this be a warning. I guess just don't talk that much about your job because people think that this will never happen to them until it happens to them. And anything like job related, especially in today's day and age where the internet is just rampant, whether you're like making a TikTok that you think is harmless, you're sharing a meme that you think is harmless, you are doing stocks or something like that, or you don't think that like stocks are big for your company, err on the side of caution and just like leave your work out of anything you do outside of work because it's scary out there and you can get fired, you can get a felony apparently, you can have legal issues in terms of like fines and stuff. We need to stay on the right side of that and just like, yeah, be careful with who you're telling. Just don't tell people anything about your job. There we go. Unless you're like behind closed doors with like someone you trust with your life, because clearly no one's safe out there. This next one is from Am I the A-hole? And it is titled, Am I the A-hole for refusing to send my roommate money? So I, female 21, live in a shared apartment with a bunch of girls that go to the same university as me. Been there, done that, bestie. You are in the trenches. Unless you're with like your best friend, then you're having that time of your life. So I apologize or I'm happy for you, whichever one it is. Judging by this, it's probably I apologize. One of my roommates that I'm pretty good friends with was away for the weekend and there was a bit of an incident. She keeps henna in our fridge and one of the cones exploded and made a crazy mess. I cleaned it all up because she wasn't there and I didn't want to stain the fridge. After I cleaned it up, I texted her to let her know what happened and that I had to throw out the cone that exploded. She replies and asks me to send her money for the exploded henna. I think that's kind of ridiculous because it's not like I took it and used it. It literally exploded and was unsalvageable, so I had to throw it out. I don't think I should be paying for something that wasn't my fault. I still haven't replied to her text, and she sent me another one with her Venmo and other apps that can receive money. How do I tell her that I'm not sending her $10 for one henna cone? I'm open to buying some for myself and replacing the one that I exploded. So I have a couple thought processes here. As a veteran at having college roommates that are girls, like I think, yeah, every single year I had a roommate. Some I have beef with, some are still some of my closest friends. First thing you should have done is taken a picture because not sure how it exploded in the fridge. It could have been pressure. Someone else could have like put something on top of it or squished it, not realizing. First thing I would have done is taken a picture and then I would have sent the picture to them and said, hey, this happened. What do we do here? Or not even what do we do here? Hey, this happened. I saw this. I went ahead and cleaned it up. Just wanted you to know so that if you're looking for it. And then if they asked for money, I'd say like, no, it was like this when I opened the fridge. As someone who is 26 and has a little bit more of a stable lifestyle, I would think to maybe send $10 just to keep tensions down in the house. Like, if I could have paid $10 and then I wouldn't have had the issues that I had with some of my roommates, I would have done it in a heartbeat. However, I know what it's like to only have $10 to your name and you have like a month until you get any more money of any sort. So you might not be able to do that. You might not have $10 to spare. And if that's the case, I totally understand it. Top comment is not the a-hole, deny her Venmo request and send her a Venmo request for $15 for the hour it took to clean up the mess her product made. You did not cause the cone to explode, so you don't owe her money for it. Exactly. Like, the only reason I would pay it is to just keep the peace, but it's like, nah. You're not the a-hole. If you guys want to read more of any of the comments, by the way, everything is linked in the description, so you can check these out on Reddit, see if there's been any updates, all the fun things. I doubt there's going to be an update for this one, but it, seems like closed case. She was ruled not the a-hole. What do you think, though? I want to know your thoughts. Am I the a-hole for refusing to pay 50% of the mortgage when 3 people live in the house? So back during the pandemic, I, 30 female, and my sister, 28 female, bought a house together. We were going 50-50 on paying the bills. It was fine, but since then my sister has gotten married and her husband has moved in. That actually didn't cause many problems since we now were all paying 1/3 of the bills. I'm glad you had that conversation up front. Very happy that you sorted that out. However, my sister and her husband have recently gotten a joint bank account. My sister now thinks that means we should go back to 50-50. Oh, I disagree because there's still 3 people living here. By my calculations, if we did that, I would be paying 50% and they would be paying 25%, meaning I would be paying most of the household bills. I keep trying to explain to her how unfair that is to me, but she keeps insisting that it's unfair to them because the way she sees it, they are paying the majority of the bills, which I agree is the case, but that's because they're 2 people and I'm 1 person. But it doesn't matter how many times I try to explain that to her, she just keeps saying it isn't fair that they are paying more than me. I will say that this is the first property I've owned, and I don't have any experience with marriage, so maybe it does change something, but I genuinely feel like I would be getting screwed over if we go back to 50-50. I would really appreciate some outside feedback on this. I'm really stressed out by this argument. Am I the a-hole? I can see how she's trying to justify it. I can see like her thought process with that. However, you're correct. The fact that you guys switched to 1/3 of the bills when he moved in is great. That works out in your favor. Like, if you guys hadn't done that and then you had been the one to turn around and say, hey, can we switch to 1/3 and spend like a year, I could maybe understand where like they thought they were going to get away with it. So now there's going to be more pushback. But the fact that they want to go back seems fishy. It seems like there's something going on. Like, I mean, obviously the cost of living is going up, so that's like a huge thing, and people are just trying to cut costs where they can. But also, yeah, that's really, you're correct. Like, yes, they're married, and in that sense, they're one or whatever. So, like, say that they were paying the mortgage on their own and you were not involved. That would be their mortgage, and then they both would be responsible for it. So I could kind of see where they'd be like, well, we're one entity, so to speak, when it comes to paying this versus 2 separate people. But also, you're not because you have a roommate. So it should be 1/3 each. Unless the only thing I could see is maybe like since they're married and they're only taking up 1 room. So like when I was in college, obviously we paid by room, right? So if someone had 1 room, they would pay for the like rent of 1 room. But none of us were like dating someone who shared a room with us. I feel like if we were though, they would have chipped in on rent. So that argument isn't really valid either. It should be 1/3 each. But I also, yeah, kind of get their thought process, but they're wrong. So I don't know. Kind of weird that they would try and go back. There is a big edit, so let me read that. Yeah, I do actually see how I'm in the wrong here. My sister never mentioned that the house is only in our name, so we'd be the only ones getting equity. The argument was always that because they have 1 bank account, it should just count as 1 person, and that frustrated me because that's not a good argument. I didn't think about the equity, but also they're married, so yeah, she only gets the equity, but unless they're planning on getting divorced, like, that's gonna still benefit both of them because when they go to buy a new house or whatever, or they, need to make business decisions, she has equity, so it'll count towards, like, both of them, if that makes sense. Like, when Josh and I were buying a house, we put our stuff together. Like, and it was like, oh, whoever has a better credit, oh, whoever has like more saved up, whatever the case is, it was both of us together. It wasn't just like one of us and then the other one just like sat back and watched. So that's where I'm thinking like, okay, I can understand that, but also they're married. So like my debt is your debt. If I have good equity, we'll just use mine when the time comes. Like, we're a team here, but yeah, I don't know. I don't think that's good enough of an argument not to just pay rent. And her husband has never once gotten involved in the discussion, so I don't know if he feels screwed over or not. I do think he should contribute because he is using water and oil, but yeah, the mortgage should be strictly on us. We'll have to figure something out. Thanks, everyone. Oh, like he just pays utilities? That's interesting. That could be a compromise. Edit 2. Okay, so we came to an agreement. One detail I didn't mention before because it didn't seem relevant, but I'm seeing people mention my sister's husband taking up space, so it definitely is that when my sister and I moved in, we made an agreement that she gets the bigger bedroom and I get the smaller bedroom in the office. But when her husband moved in, all of his stuff got put in my office, which has always annoyed me because it felt like my sister was going back on our agreement by essentially giving this space to her husband. So we talked it all over, and the agreement we have is that my sister and I pay the mortgage 50-50. We split all household costs 3 ways, and her husband pays a little bit of rent, partially for wear and tear, but also for the office. Apparently, he has a storage unit already that's full and is unwilling to get a second one, which I do understand, so this is fine for now. I don't know the exact breakdown, but maybe it's 60-40. Again, very grateful for the replies. I am well aware my living situation is dumb. Yeah, okay. So, the storage unit thing. Okay. Your girl loves my stuff, and I get like very emotionally attached. Like, oh, I wore this shirt to my first One Direction concert in the 8th grade. I can't possibly get rid of it attached. But I also have a deep-rooted belief that storage units are scams. There are use for them. However, you're literally paying money so that you can hoard. And it's like a subscription service so that you can just keep shit that you don't need. So, in my opinion, he just needs to get rid of stuff. Like, obviously, that would fix the problem. I know that's easier said than done. Like, I have an antique dresser and bed and, like, nightstand that my grandma gave me that is absolutely beautiful, and I refuse to get rid of it, even though it's just sitting in our garage, because one day, like, I know we're gonna use it. It's just not today. I talk a big game for someone who does that. But also, it's never gotten to the point where I've needed a storage unit. I would say, though, him taking up your office is unacceptable. He shouldn't have done that from the jump. You should have put your foot down from the jump, and he definitely needs to get his stuff out of your office because that's not his space. But yeah, I'm glad you guys sorted it all out. In the end, people said no a-holes here. I feel like, honestly, I think everyone's the a-hole a little bit. I can see both sides, and I think that, I don't know, it's just, why are people paying, like, why are we all paying this? Why don't they just get their own spot? Again, I understand money, but I don't know. So, this one's tough. I really want to know your guys' thoughts because of it being, like, so weird. So, the top comment is, you and your sister pay half the mortgage, he pays rent, and you and your sister receive half each, and you split the bills 1/3 each. He is not an equity holder, so he doesn't pay the mortgage, but he does live there, so he pays rent and bills. I'll do rough calculations for you. If the house is worth $500,000, your mortgage payments will be about $2,700. Really? That's not that enough. When was this posted? Right, it's about 5% of the $500,000 per year, so about $700 a month for him. That is not, because our mortgage is higher than that, and our house is not anywhere near that. It's not higher than that, but it's higher than, like, what it should be if that were the case. So, I feel like $2,700, it should be worth, I think your mortgage is about more than that. Unless they're doing per person. $2,700 per person, yeah, that's about right. You and your sister are out of pocket $2,150 each, and he is out of pocket $700, but you are responsible for all maintenance, taxes, and house insurance, but also hold all equity. Yeah, so I guess that's what they ended up doing. I'm looking in the comments to see if anybody else called out. Okay, here it is. I'm sorry, but nobody is renting out a $500,000 house for $2,100 a month. And then someone said that's too low. It really depends on the location. There's a huge difference. I don't know. I feel like where I live, the cost of living is pretty low. or where I grew up as well, and I still have family, like, in multiple locations, and not like, that just doesn't make sense. Like, mm, I wanna say a $500,000 house in, like, 2006 was, like, $4,000 a month for a mortgage, if I remember correctly. So, there's just no way. But, yeah, that's true, they could be in another country. I don't know, I'm getting in the weeds with this. Let me know your thoughts on this one. We're gonna go ahead and jump into the next one, because yeah, I'm just getting so technical, and you guys probably don't care about the cost of housing. I'm just, like, ADHD over here, like, let's see what's going on. This next one is titled, "Would I be the a-hole if I move my TV from my living room to my bedroom?" Classic roommate dilemma. My brother/roommate likes to fall asleep on the couch in the living room. Whether I fall asleep on the couch and get woken up, I will happily move, since I realize how selfish it is to take up the whole three-person couch for myself when I have a bed. My brother, however, cannot realize that, and instead says, "You're not going to interrupt my weekend nap," when I ask him to move to their bed. I would like to watch TV after work, so would I be the a-hole if I move my TV to my bedroom and avoid this happening again? You're going to start a war. I'm trying to think of how I would handle this. I would just sit on top of my brother, honestly, and then he'd get the point. Or I would tell him, like, go to your room. You'll have a bed for a reason. Or if he has a TV in his room, I would say, hey, can I put that in my room, and, like, try to fix it that way, since clearly he wants to sleep on the couch. But, like, it's hard because what's the right thing kind of goes out the window when you're talking about siblings, because people get petty with their siblings. So I'd be a little bit more petty, I think. And it would be like, I think I would move the TV. And then if he has a question, he can buy a TV for the living room. Top comment says, sit him down and tell him that if he doesn't start taking naps in his bedroom instead, you're going to move the TV to your room. Getting off work and getting to relax by the TV is your right. Maybe if you can both chip in for a lazy boy and put it in the living room, you could even get a used one on Facebook Marketplace. Good luck. I hope you work it out. And everybody agrees that this is a really great answer, which doesn't happen often on Reddit. But that's also a good solution, like having more seating. I get that it's annoying, but I feel like that's just having siblings. Like, we step on each other's toes. Sometimes we do things that are, like, really annoying, but you just got to figure it out, man. They did say not the a-hole. I think that the brother is the a-hole in this situation, but I get the money's tight, and we can't just, like, buy a new TV or buy a new lazy boy. And he just wants you to find a solution that doesn't involve him. So, yeah, I would tell him you're going to move the TV and give him, like, a warning. Like, you have X amount of days or this is coming with me. Am I the a-hole for kicking my mom out after giving her 8 months to stay? I, 26 male, and my girlfriend have been together for about 7 years. But to add some context to the situation, around 4 years ago, my girlfriend was going through a bad time with her mom, so I offered if she could stay by my place until it got resolved. Interesting you didn't say your girlfriend's age, clocking that, but hopefully it was just like an accident and you didn't mean to do that. My mom was hesitant but agreed since it was temporary. So she moves in with us for about a year while we are going to college. My mom tells me while we are going out shopping that my partner has to leave with no warning all of a sudden. I was confused by this because she was helping pay rent and buying groceries, so I just wanted to know why. She didn't have any ground reasoning besides, I don't like her. So I told my partner what was going on and I helped move her things to an off-site college dorm for the time being. I knew that after this, my mom and my partner weren't going to have a positive relationship going forward. Now, fast forward to last year, I'm currently moved in with my partner for the past year in a new apartment, and I get a call from my mother. She tells me that she's being evicted and that she has nowhere to stay. I warned her that I can't promise that she could stay, but I'll ask, because after how she treated my girlfriend, I doubt she will want her there. Initially, she was against her staying, but agreed as long as she was using this time to save money so she can find a new place. I told her she could stay, but just do what you have to do and don't cause any problems. Yeah, I could see the karma. I could see it coming. This is why, guys, I say, karma, keep your side of the street clean because it always comes back. This past July, my mom is staying with us, and we have her place in the living room. I thought she was planning on staying for a few weeks or a month or two. My girlfriend asked if she's moving out. I ask her what's her plan, and she tells me that she's still looking and trying to get a place. So I just keep both of them up to date with what is going on. Now, the issue begins last month in February. My mom had an outburst about the fridge being full as I finally went to Aldi's for the first and stocked up on cans, frozen, and fresh vegetables. Apparently, she was yelling and cursing and throwing foods in the sink, just complaining about why I bought so much food. Why is she throwing food? That is out of pocket. Like, that is unacceptable. I may be a little scarred because I just bought groceries like earlier today, and I literally was telling Josh, I'm like, we are not eating out. We are not, every single ounce of this is getting eaten. No waste because everything is so expensive. So the fact that she's throwing food, just complaining about how there's so much food doesn't make sense, but it's also sending me into a spiral. It was just a whole unnecessary argument that shouldn't have happened, as I had told her before to not cause any problems, and if she had an issue, just text me and I'll try to resolve it. After the argument, I messaged her that you'll probably have to leave soon because I cannot have you here making everyone uncomfortable. She goes on an entire rant about Christianity, how I'm not having faith in God, and how my girlfriend is a Interesting that she's using God in that same sentence. Okay, listen, I am Christian. I grew up in a Christian household. I went to a hyper Southern Baptist like school. So I know Christian, I know ball, but I also don't necessarily agree with a lot of it. Like, I'm not going to sit here and judge anyone for anything because that's none of my business. And I don't want to get into like religion too much, but I, as well as a lot of my friends, have had a lot of history with Christians that we thought were like safe spaces getting really, really judgmental and screwing us over, stabbing us in the back. And it's just, I'm so tired of the narrative. Like, guys, if you're gonna, like, don't throw stones if you live in a glass house. Like, you're literally getting called out for your behavior and you're gaslighting with Christianity. What are we doing? Can we just like take a second, like actually think about what we're saying? Let's think about our words before we say them. It's just, I'm exhausted. Come on, guys. No one pushes more people away from being Christian than Christians themselves. Okay? That's all I'm going to say. She's blowing up my phone up until 3:30 a.m., in which her last message is, we're going to church at 8 a.m. Be ready. Oh my goodness. So after all that nonsense, I told her straight up that I don't want you here if you're going to be disrespectful and insulting my partner like that. I told my mom that she has to move out in March, but she's trying to stay until April 5th. My girlfriend has told me that her friends are telling her to leave if she isn't gone by then. Am I the a-hole? Honestly, I get that you were between a rock and a hard place, but I wouldn't have let her move in the first place because clearly she has a history of causing issues. She was going to cause more issues. Now your relationship is like about to be completely ruined if it isn't already. And you're going to have to choose between her and the girlfriend, which in my opinion, I think that's what she wanted this whole time. So kick her out. Like, she may be your mom, but she's not acting like it. It's just because you're someone's parent doesn't mean you have a free ticket to treat them however you like and always get forgiven. Like, if you're going to be a jerk, then you gotta go. If you're not going to treat people with respect, you gotta go. And the fact that she's texting you, like, we're going to church at 8 a.m., it sounds like she's still treating you like a kid, even though you're a full adult. And she hasn't made that connection in her brain yet that, like, she can't tell you what to do. Like, she can't force you to go. And so it sounds like she's believing that her word is, like, the final word. And so you standing up and saying, hey, how you acted was incorrect. In her mind, she's like, okay, but you're just the kid. I'm the adult here. So at least that's the vibe that I'm getting. But let's read the top comment. You are an a-hole for letting this woman move in with you after she threw your girlfriend out at short notice with no place to go. If I were your girlfriend, I would have moved her stuff out the day of the fridge argument. If you don't get your mother out by the end of this month, you can kiss your relationship goodbye, and I don't blame your girlfriend at all. Exactly. I think that your girlfriend is being so patient. Karma. Like, I would have literally used that as a reason and been like, remember when you did this? That was unacceptable, and it ain't happening. Like, I would have just put my foot down. So, yeah, your girlfriend's a saint, and if she doesn't leave after, like, April 5th, what's today? Today's the 4th. So if she doesn't leave before, honestly, ASAP, she should have left in March if she's not gone by now, and your girlfriend doesn't leave, then what the heck? Like, that's, your girlfriend just needs to leave. Okay? And she's gonna have a hard time getting over that. She's gonna probably feel like she is letting people walk all over her, and your girlfriend's gonna feel like she's being disrespected, and if she doesn't leave, then she's disrespecting herself, if that is the case. So I really hope that your mom's gone so that your girlfriend doesn't have to be confronted with that situation, even though she kind of already is. Am I the a-hole for correcting my roomie about her meals when eating out? I love my roomie very much. She's a wonderful person and I consider her family. We've lived together a few years now and we're both pushing 30. My roomie has a digestive condition that will cripple her with stomach cramps if she eats even a little bit of dairy. She also doesn't eat meat, but she can do eggs and some fish. So as someone who loves food and cooking, I found it very easy to cook for the both of us and she's always so grateful about it. We go on a lot of camping trips together and we really love it. Several times now on our way to a camping trip, we'd stop somewhere to get something to eat, and she'd end up doubled over with horrible cramps by the time we get to the campsite, and we'd have to pack up and turn around. Because I cook a lot, I have a better idea of what's in most food than she does. When we first ate out together years ago, I pointed out something had dairy in it to the waiter and mentioned she couldn't have dairy, and she asked me politely to not do that again, so I didn't. Well, last weekend we went on a big kayak camping trip. We had just gotten off a ferry and were having a last hot meal at a little restaurant when she ordered something with brioche bread, which, unlike most breads, has a lot of butter in it. She shot me a dirty look and asked the waiter to ask the chef, who confirmed that it did, and she got a substitution. She was pretty peeved at me for correcting her about her meal in front of the waiter, something she has asked me not to do before. But she also needs... I'm going to try and hold my comments, but she does need to be an adult at some point. Here's the thing about this trip, though. We were going to camp overnight at Posey Island, a tiny island marine park off of the coast of Friday Harbor, one of the San Juan Islands in the Puget Sound. The island has only 2 campsites, and we'd rented both for 2 nights, so we were going to be getting the whole island to ourselves. And one day was the lowest tide of the month as well, so we'd be getting some excellent tide pooling in. There were 4 of us on this trip: her, me, another friend, and my girlfriend. At this point, we'd woken up at 2 a.m., driven 5 hours, taken a 2-hour ferry that cost $70, and we're gearing up to paddle a few miles over the harbor in the early morning cold. That was my first thought. Like, I've always wanted to go to Puget Sound, but I'm scared of killer whales. I don't know why. I think they're so cool, but I would be scared of a wild one. Also, it sounds really cold. Like, when I think of Puget Sound, I think of cold. I don't know what their summers are like, but in my head, it might as well be in Antarctica. We'd all taken time off work, which was hard for us, and the only reason we'd taken such an early ferry was so we could paddle over early in the morning when there were less boats in the harbor, because Rumi is afraid of kayaking near large boats, and honestly, none of us enjoy it. So after we did all that, I wasn't willing to turn around because she didn't want to be told she'd ordered something with dairy in it. And the way the ferries work to the San Juans, we'd be waiting maybe days to get on without a reservation, which was set for the day we were leaving. So am I the a-hole for correcting her about her own dietary restrictions? No. I understand that she doesn't want you to, but then that means she needs to be an adult and know what's in what. And she needs to take responsibility for it. And if she doesn't, then I would just stop inviting her and tell her why. Like, hey, this is expensive and I love you. I want you to be there. If you aren't able to be there for health reasons, then I get it. If you're not willing to take care of yourself, that's not, it's not fair. But I would also approach it from a place of concern and not a place of blame, because that'll get you way farther. There is an update as well as an edit, so we'll read the edit first. I feel the need to point out that while some trips have been ended before due to dairy slips, of the 5 or so times it's happened, 2 or 3 were not her fault because she ordered vegan food and got something with dairy. We camp out a lot, basically every weekend of summer and many weekends in spring and fall. This has happened fewer than 1 out of the 10 trips. Oh, well, that completely changes my point of view, because I understand, like, accidents, but I wouldn't not include her because of that. I feel like this is a one-off, and I feel like you were okay to correct her and say, I totally understand, but, I was just worried about the trip, and then you guys should move on. Like, I was just worried about, since we put so much time and money into this, like, I was just looking out for you because I care about you, and then move on. So let's read the update. The response to this post has been really overwhelming. My roommate is not a narcissist, and I think you all need to examine how quickly and easily you throw that word around like it's not an actual diagnosis. We sat down and chatted about it. She felt bad about every trip you're ruining dairy slip, and I felt bad for telling her what to eat instead of offering information. We came up with a system wherein, basically, we just talk before the waiter gets there, and I can point out if something has dairy. It truly was triggering for her for anyone to ask the waiter about her food on her behalf because of her own past, which is fair. The solution really was that simple, as these kinds of things tend to be in my experience. Okay, I'm glad you could work it out. I'm glad that you basically did what I suggested because that makes me feel like I'm giving good advice. But also, I get that you're like, wow, this is overwhelming. But bestie, it's Reddit. Like, what did you expect? People love to jump to conclusions. And the fact you didn't include that the dairy slips were accidents, that really is like context that makes a huge difference. So I can understand people being like, why is she intentionally doing this? Because we're all scarred and all jaded and we're all going to assume the worst. Top comment is, not the a-hole. Roommate doesn't get to not advocate for her own health by being vigilant about what she eats and ruin everyone else's plans as a result. And then the top response to that is, actually, roommate gets to do what they want about their health, and other people knowing this need to make their plans accordingly. So as you can see, the thread just kept going and spiraling about how much the roommate needs to take care of themselves. So I think we all were sharing a brain cell there, but makes sense. This next one is from Best of Redditor Updates, and it is titled, Am I the a-hole for choosing my dog over my family by refusing to accommodate my girlfriend's brother? I, 23 male, lived with my girlfriend and 22 female and my dog, Bo. Recently, Anne's brother, Al, 25 male, got laid off from work and couldn't afford to pay rent anymore. Anne asked if Al could stay with us, and I didn't see why not. Anne isn't on speaking terms with her parents, and I assumed Al probably wasn't and didn't have another place to go. Plus, I really loved Anne, and I wanted to show her how important she was to me. Here's the issue. Anne told me Al had a mild dog allergy. When I initially spoke with both of them, I said I would do my best to accommodate, but would not, under any circumstances, get rid of Bo. Both understood, and Al said his allergy wasn't too bad. Al moved in, and to be honest, he wasn't a great roommate. He didn't seem to be in a hurry to move out, as he spent most of his time sleeping and playing video games instead of looking for work. He didn't pitch in for chores and let laundry pile up in his room, then acted confused when I told him he had to do his own laundry. He ate the food we cooked, but did not help with cooking or buying groceries. Worst, he ordered lots of fast food for himself and left wrappers, bags, and old food in his room, which made the whole apartment smell. Ugh. Yeah, I don't like that. I have a tendency to think that when people aren't responsible at home, that probably translates into work and vice versa. I can understand why he was laid off. And it just sounds, I know people like this, and they've asked to like move in before or be roommates with us, like through college and stuff. And I've literally said to like my boyfriend, like, yeah, if they move in, you guys can be roommates. If you want to be roommates all day long, you guys have the time of your life. I was to the spot by myself because can't handle this. I cannot handle this. Me and my contamination OCD are not okay with this. After a month or so, Al said his allergies were getting worse and asked me to consider putting Bo in a shelter. I said absolutely not, but Anne said we should consider getting rid of Bo to accommodate her brother's needs. Oh my God, no! I said no, and we would not be discussing this further. She called me the a-hole for choosing my dog over my family. Al's not your family. Let's start there. Okay? Even if he was, your dog is also your family. If someone told me I needed to consider putting my dog, like the audacity, the entitlement, there is no world. Me and my dog would be living in a box on the side of the road before I would put my dog somewhere. Like, no, it ain't happening. Where they go, I go. And the fact that they aren't even like contributing in any way, like the fact that they're like rude, they aren't trying to find a job, they aren't trying to get out of the situation, they don't pick up after themselves. That's insane. They have no intention of going anywhere, and they feel like they're getting a free place to stay, and they're just gonna stay until you kick them out because clearly they're comfortable. Let's keep reading though. That's when I snapped. I said Al is not family, and he has been nothing but a hassle for the past month, and that if she wants to babysit her older brother, she can find her own place. She has no legal right to stay here because my name is on the lease, and I pay rent. Anne is in grad school and doesn't make enough money to afford a decent apartment on her own. She tried again to convince me that I should prioritize Al over Bo, so I gave her an ultimatum. Either Al is gone in 24 hours, or I kick both of them out. Bo stays no matter what. Both have since moved out, and while Anne and I are not officially broken up, I haven't heard from her in a few days. You probably won't hear from her. But 24 hours is great. That is a quick turnaround, but clearly Al had somewhere else to go because they're gone. So yeah, I would say that you and Anne are probably not gonna be together anymore. But if she was so quick to get rid of your dog, whether it's for her brother, whether it's for whoever, like if she was so quick to use that as the solution instead of working to find a different one, that's crazy. Like I know dogs can be problems. My mom is like deathly allergic to dogs. And so she's always had like hypoallergenic dogs, but my dogs are not hypoallergenic. And then if she comes over, like we clean the house, like she stays in certain rooms, she doesn't go where there's carpet. Like, so I totally understand having someone that is important to you being in a situation where there's just nothing you can do. Like with dog allergies or allergies of any sort, if they're allergic, they're allergic. It's not like you can just snap your fingers and make it go away. But there are other solutions. I always say there's always another solution. Even if that solution is like kicking him out, there's always another option. So, yeah, I think you found the other option that would be most beneficial for you. But I wish that Anne would have at least tried or sided with you because she knows how much he means to you, even if she's not a fan of the dog, which I would think she's not if she's trying to get rid of him. He means something to you. So she should care. I know this may sound harsh, but Bo is my family. He's been with me through some of my hardest times, and he is a rescue, which means he was already abandoned once, and I will not let that happen again. I feel nothing for Al, and while I thought I loved Anne, her willingness to get rid of someone I love as much as her made my feelings change. When I explained this to my parents and sister, however, they said I should have at least considered getting rid of Bo to accommodate Al, and that they could have taken care of Bo themselves so he didn't have to go to a shelter. They said if I saw Anna's family, which I did at one point, I should be able to make sacrifices. That was a sacrifice I was not willing to make. Does that make me the a-hole? I don't think so. I wouldn't move my life around for this guy who doesn't even contribute in any way. Like, I'm not going to move my dog out just so that he can stay even longer. It can accommodate him even further so that he doesn't have to have any sort of, like, reason to leave. I just wouldn't do that. So, no, you're not the a-hole. She was not the one. As soon as she said that about your dog, she was not the one. Because the one would understand. Update. Holy crap, I was not expecting this. Thanks for all the support. A lot has happened in the past couple of days and I wanted to share with you. First, I officially broke up with Anne. My parents have since apologized to me. Apparently they didn't realize the extent of my living situation with Anne and Al and thought I would only be getting rid of Bo for a few weeks. They even gave me money for changing my locks and installing a fancy security system. That's good. Lastly, this whole experience made me think there were many dogs out there who have been cast aside for reasons similar to this. So not only am I keeping Bo, but I'm planning on adopting a second dog from a local shelter. My next girlfriend will be told upfront that I am a dog over significant other kind of guy. I think that you don't even need to make that distinction to the right person. Like, when I started dating my boyfriend, I had my dog and my bunny. They were my entire world. We were in college, and I'm like, these are my world. Okay? And he was totally fine. He wasn't a dog person then. He is now. But he was like, that's fine. And then I ended up staying at his all the time. I ended up bringing my dog and my bunny over to his house. We ended up getting another dog. Like, it was just like hey, I'm like, dogs don't mean a lot to me, but I see how much they mean to you. So yeah. And now my dog we have multiple dogs, but my dog that I've had since back in the day that like I grew up, she's been through everything with me, basically. She's like obsessed with him and he's obsessed with her. And we fight over like who she loves more and who's her favorite and like all of that stuff because like he was like, yo, this is important to her. Clearly, I need to respect that. And clearly, we're a good match. Like, if he wouldn't have said that, we would have been done so. Like, if anyone isn't like that, they're not for me. And I think that that's something that with the right person, you don't need to make that distinction because they just understand. It would never come down to having to choose between my boyfriend and my dog because he would never put me in that position because he gets it. Top comment is, I've had my cat for 14 years now. There's no man on earth who could convince me to give her up. Never mind his freeloading sibling. LOL. Yeah, absolutely not. I would have laughed out loud if someone said that to me and I was in his situation because there's no way in hell. Like, absolutely not. I would have been like, yeah, there's the door. You've got 20 minutes. Chop, chop. I'll mail your stuff to wherever you end up. I don't really care where. Bye. Like, I'll pay you. I'll get you an Uber. That's about as much as I'm going to do for you. But that is it for today's podcast episode. I hope you guys enjoyed. Did you guys like me doing a bunch of short stories versus like 3 big ones? Would you guys rather me stick to the really long ones that have a bunch of updates like I typically do? We're just experimenting over here, so let me know if you're on like Spotify or YouTube and you can comment. Definitely let me know what you like better because I don't know. I don't know. But I hope you guys enjoyed. Like I said, don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, follow, all the fun things. You know what they are. I will catch you guys on Wednesday with a whole new podcast episode. And that's pretty much it. Bye, guys. Love you.